What is up, Misfits and Moonbasers? It's your boy Ray Recall coming at you again with another video review. And today we're going to be looking at something that I just picked up. I've only just now got this a few minutes ago. So today we're going to be looking at the Transformers Studio Series Voyager class Blitzwing. He's not in the packaging, but I actually happen to have the packaging for one, so I'm going to show it off. Yeah. So, anyway, I just picked up this figure today. I've been wanting to get it for a little while. I was kind of curious about it, and since I saw it in the store, figured why not? I had the money for it, pick it up. I'll get into some things about this figure. Some pros about it and some cons, no pun intended, as I go along. So just be aware that this figure's kind of a mixed bag. So without any further ado, let's get right on into it. So here is Blitzwing in his jet mode. I am not familiar with what type of jet this is supposed to be, but it is a jet. So there's a few things about this jet mode that I do like and some things that I do not. I do like the color scheme. I like the way that it's very clean transformation. There is a little bit of kibble under here. As you can see, it's got visible hands, visible feet. But considering how some jet formers are made, this actually works with a lot of the elements in it, and it is a very good transformation. The instructions are a little bit weird in the fact that some steps are mentioned that should come before others. There's also some things about this figure. For example, if you look at the profile head-on, it is not accurate to the movie. So there's that. Sorry for the weird cut there. Where was I? Yeah. So the profile isn't completely perfect for the movie, but given that this is a Studio Series figure and what they had to work with, I think they pulled it off pretty well. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So getting right down into some of the details, you do have the clear cockpit window, which is nice, even though there's not a sculpted in cockpit. You know, it could open, and I guess there's some semblance of stuff in there, but that's just the back of his robot mode head. He has a lot of accessories in here. I was actually surprised at how many accessories this figure came with, and they all store in vehicle mode, so we'll go ahead and just remove those now, and we'll get into the accessories a little bit more in detail when we get into robot mode. He does actually have landing gear that can retract. This front one can retract, the back two are just molded into place. But yeah, it's a very, very nice and very solid jet mode. Once everything tabs together, it's tabbed together nice and solid. It's not going anywhere. So here we are, just as a quick size comparison. Here he is with Bumblebee Movie Deluxe Dropkick and Voyager class Optimus Prime. So there you have that. So, moving right on into the transformation, there is a bit of quirkiness with this, especially with my particular copy. There's some parts that are a little, one part in particular that's absolutely unforgivably loose. If anybody knows how to fix that, when I get to it, I'll ask in the comments if you have any fixes for it, but yeah, let's go ahead and get right on into the transformation. So first you want to just put up this landing gear right here. Next you're going to take this entire wing and back panel assembly and just kind of lift it up like so. Go ahead and untab the wings from there. you'll see that there are tabs that will go under these little rectangular panels here on both sides. There's that little tab right there. And then there are 2 tabs right here that will go into these little slots right there, if I'm looking right. Yeah. So these tabs go into these slots right there. Just so you know. The instructions have that backward. They want you to put this panel down first. It makes things a lot easier if you put this panel down as the last thing. Next, what you want to do is you want to take this panel and just continue to rotate it just so that it's oriented like this. This little panel can drop down, sits flush, and these wings angle back a little bit. And just leave that there for now. Next, you want to take the nose cone section and rotate it like so. Take the nose cone proper, and you see that it wants to pull the head assembly out first. You want this to drop down first and sit flush along the back, and there is a tab on the landing gear that will go into a little slot right there in the nose cone. So make sure that's tabbed flush first. Then you can take this entire assembly and start lifting it up and over the cockpit. Now, you see how the arms are oriented this way? This is how you're going to want them oriented when you go back into vehicle mode. So basically what it is you want the hands at an angle so that this panel can move freely. And you want them almost doing like the chicken dance, if you can see. So, anyway, you want to take this strut assembly, which, by the way, this isn't, if anybody is familiar with the term spaghetti engineering, this isn't really spaghetti engineering. I mean, these hinges are super solid. It doesn't flop around or anything like that, and once everything's tapped together, it taps together solidly. So, I was very pleasantly surprised about that. But anyway, you take this, drop it down all the way towards the back. Now you can open up the cockpit, flip up the head assembly, and this little port right there. In vehicle mode, it tabs in here, but in robot mode, this little tab goes into the notch that's specifically cut out for it. So just bring this back, and it should, if I do it right, there we go, soft tab into place. And then you can take the cockpit, close it back up, drop the chest piece down over the cockpit assembly, like so. Now you want to come to the back. These same 2 tabs that tab the wings into the fuselage will go into now these slots. And once you get that tabbed in securely, this chest isn't going anywhere. So now you're free to orient the arms how you want. Just straighten them out. Take this little panel, flip it all the way around, and take these little winglets and angle them up. And the same thing on the other side. There you go, like so. Ta-da! Now for the legs. Simply split the legs, and they only tab together at the very back. Little tab, little slot. Take the tail fins, fold these in like so, and these fold down like that. So all the tail fins are facing the same way. Go ahead and take this little tab. We'll go into a slot right here. And then tab, slot. Whoop. Just did a somersault there. Take the feet, orient them down. Rotate the legs so that the knee is now facing the correct way. And then come to the inside of the feet, and the feet will tab open, like so. And then if you want, you can take these little side skirt pieces and kind of flare them out a little bit. Kind of helps with the look. And then if they haven't done it already, you take the wing tips, angle them up, or as in the case of this one, it will just naturally pop off. The problem with this, and this is with my copy, This one, sorry, this one is on perfectly fine. This one, the little clips are a little bit squished. I don't know if you can see that, but they're just a little bit squished too close together so that it doesn't allow a very tight and snug fit. If it's at this angle, for some reason when it's at this angle, it's fine, but whenever it's like this, it wants to just fall off. So if anybody knows how to, I don't know, put like a little expander or something like that in there, like maybe like a little clip of wood or a folded up piece of paper to help keep that little gap in there tight, let me know. I might just put a piece of paper in there anyway. So, but anyway, aside from that, once you get all that done, here is Studio Series Blitzwing complete in his robot mode. And I really, really like this figure. Oh my god, it is amazing. I cannot sing its praises enough. It does have a few faults with it, but I think it makes up for those faults with being an amazing movie-accurate representation of a character we only got literally 5 minutes of screen time with. So let's go ahead and get right into some of the details. So first of all, I'm going to take a look at this head sculpt. Nicely done head sculpt. The face is even made of a clear plastic that's been painted over. So you can see at the little vents near his face, they're actually light piped. The eyes are painted in red, and the camera isn't really doing a good job of it, but the red does just pop, especially out of the silver for the face. Let me see if I can adjust my lighting in here a little bit. There we go. Very good looking figure. You know what? Let me see if I can get this real quick. Didn't know why I didn't do this comparison to begin with, but bam! Voyager class Seeker Starscream. So there you go. And yeah, these two look pretty darn good together. Feel about the same weight, so they're both very dense figures. Especially Starscream with his dense head. They look, I mean, you can see G1 inspired versus movie inspired. It hits all the right marks for a Seeker. You know, the vent chest, the central cockpit, even the head shape is very similar. The way the wings are swept back. Excuse me. So I really like what they did with this design. It's very accurate to G1. Much like, you know, the Bumblebee movie design was very G1 inspired for the movie design. So let's get into articulation real quick. Articulation, the head is on a ball joint. Because of the placement of the ball joint, you can get it to look all the way up, which is good for whenever you're doing flying poses. He can look all the way down into his chest. Head can do a full 360, and you don't really get much of a head tilt, just the way that the angle of the ball joint is, but it is, you do get a lot of play with it. Arms can do a full 360, even especially if you move the wings out of the way. The wings are the wings are able to be articulated at either fully out, all the way back, anywhere in between. The wing tips can angle up. I will say, this back connection here, where these tabs go in, make sure that is very secure, because otherwise, whenever you're rotating the arms, the entire chest section will lift up. It doesn't peg in anywhere except to the back. Now, that is a very strong connection once you get it on there, but if you just lightly tab it, it'll come undone, so that can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. But, I mean, as you can see, once it's on, it's on. Bicep rotation, double jointed elbow, so you get a full range of movement there. The wrists are actually, and this is for both hands, are actually on a 5mm peg. So you can remove them, and we'll get into exactly why in a minute. This hand is static, but this hand does have the option to open and close. So you can recreate a scene if you have the Bumblebee figure of where he rips out his voice box. There is a slight waist rotation, but the way that this is in the way, it does limit it significantly. But it is still there. You still do get a waist rotation. It's just limited. Legs can move forward that much. Back about that much. You can do the full splits. Thigh rotation. 90-degree knee bend. And due to transformation, a crazy level of ankle tilt. So this guy is very, very posable, and I am very, very happy about that. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at some of his accessories now. So he does come with the two, I don't believe these are missiles, I believe they're actually external fuel containers or whatever from the jet mode. But they do plug onto the wings. So I have a little tab and a slot. So just little accents. You are not able to transform him while keeping these in place from robot to vehicle, so that is a little bit of parts forming, but if you just consider it an aesthetic, it is, you know, it's not really a parts forming if it's just accessories. There we go. And then he comes with two other weapons. This first one, people will know from the movie, is the Dagger Spear thing that he used to rip Bumblebee's voice box out. And if you look, it actually has some pretty interesting detailing in it. Molded in detail. Especially on the back, you can see that it's basically formed from his hand. And the way that you swap these out is you literally just unpeg the hand, peg this in there, and now you have that. And if you have the Studio Series Off-Road Bumblebee, you know, you can always have them just up. There we go. See? Back came undone when I was trying to move the arm. There we go. But if you have the Studio Series Off-Road Bumblebee, you can have him, you know, ripping his voice box out or whatever. Kind of morbid, but it is a thing that you can do. Go ahead and take this, and weapon storage of this, there's a tiny peg, tiny slot, and just pegs onto the back. It's out of the way. And then for his last accessory, if I can get this hand in there we go. You have the blaster gun he was using, which is pretty nice. It's got a lot of silver paint onto it. And this can be used in either hand. The way it works is that there is a 5mm post to be gripped in the hand, and then a tab that will go into either slot on his arm, as you can see. Now, you can have him use it in either hand, and it works just fine. However, if you want it to be tabbed in all the way, it is a pain in the butt if you have the hands in place. So what I like to do is just go ahead and, since the hands are removable on both sides, just tab it in, and there you go. The tab is strong enough that it holds it into place, but if I want to remove it, it won't take me all day. See? Just rock it back and forth, and there you go. Or, if you want it to be held in the hand, let me just show with this one. It is possible to be held in the hand, but as you can see, there is a lot of wiggling that you have to do to get it out. So whenever you have both the hand and the tab connection, it is a very hard fit to try to remove. It's a little bit easier on this side because this hand, you know, isn't permanently gripped So even if I put it in here on this arm, you can see the hand just loosely holds it, which works because this is the only hand that he used it in the movie, but as you can see, it's still a little bit harder to remove it because you don't have that rocking that you can do to untab it. There you go. See? So, just a little warning for those that want to be equipping and removing the gun a lot, I guess. So, there you are. And then finally, for the size comparison, once again, we have both Studio Series Dropkick and Optimus Prime, and they look darn good together. If I had more Bumblebee movie figures, like I do have the auto version of Shatter, but she's in storage somewhere, so I'm not about to try to fish her out. But these three figures look amazing together. If I had a Bumblebee, I'm sure he would look amazing with Bumblebee as well. So there you go. Now, I got this figure, believe it or not, at my local HEB. For any of y'all that are not from Texas, that is a Texas grocery store, but surprisingly, I found this in the toy section there, and they actually had two other Studio Series figures in there too. They had Constructicon Scrapper and Skipjack, if I'm not mistaken, but I already have a complete Devastator, so I'm not about to waste money on that. But they had this guy, so I got him. Retail, he's about $30, which is about par for the course for retail Studio Series Deluxe. Voyager classes. I know you can get this figure online as well at numerous online retailers. Final thoughts on this figure. In total, it is a very good figure that I am glad I purchased. I do not regret spending my money on this. The overall sculpt, the overall engineering, the overall joint tolerances, all of it is well worth the money. I like the design. I like the alt mode. The only gripes I have are just about, how hard it is to get this weapon in and out of its hand. And the fact that you have to keep this backpack tabbed into place in order to, move the arms, which I assume that if I move the arms enough, just by holding the torso in place, that'll just loosen them up enough so that it's not going to pull the whole chest with it each time. That's just a new figure thing. The biggest gripe I have, and again, this is just on my copy, and I think this might just be a QC issue because my copy has this problem only on one side, is that the little winglets. On this side, it's fine. It's a nice, tight little joint that has like a little soft click once it gets to this position. On this one, it wants to fall off. Simply because this little soft clip is way too loose. So I might just have to, take some receipt paper or business card, trim off a corner and shove it into that little gap to keep it open. If anybody knows any fixes for this, it's literally just a single piece of plastic that's molded into this little clip. And the two sides are too close together so it doesn't form a tight bond. If anybody knows how to fix that without, needing to sand or use super glue or anything crazy, let me know. And this is probably an instance of I just was unlucky enough to get a bad copy. There's no guarantee that this is the same on every version of this figure. So I will let this pass because the rest of the figure is dead solid. It is a very good figure, and I would recommend picking it up if you have the chance. So anyway, I think I've rambled long enough. So once again, this has been the Transformers Studio Series Bumblebee Movie Voyager Class Blitzwing figure. I have been Ray Recall. Y'all have been awesome, and I will see y'all in the next video, whenever that happens to be, because things are hectic, but I will try my best. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!